Personally, Mr. Pai, I'm sure you people would be aware, has never stopped short of taking very bold positions when it comes to freedom and diversity of media. And we are hoping that his arrival, at a time when the debate on freedom and diversity in India is on the center stage. Mr. Pai's presence here and his participation in Flames would be really substantial and would allow us to shape the whole debate very actively. I won't want to take any more of your time. I think I should invite Jay before I invite Jay to do his brief summary of FICCI KPMG report. I would request my distinguished colleague and elder Ramesh Sippy to say a few words to all of you.
Thank you, Glenn. Welcome everyone. But I think if our friend here says a few things about what had previously, I'll probably be able to wind up whether it's okay, if you don't mind.
The landmark report for the media and entertainment industry, and today we'll give you a few highlights from the year gone by and some crystal ball gazing in terms of projections and trends for the future. So, as Uday outlined earlier, I think this year's frames is an extremely important event. I think it's a coming together. 2013 saw a lot of activity on the regulatory front, but the imperative for a well thought out, consolidated policy across segments of media is really the burning need of the hour, and hopefully we'll, with the minister's presence there, we'll be able to discuss a lot of that in detail. In 2013, there was a lot of changes. I'll cover some of that, but just an overview of some of the key trends. Digitization, which started off with a lot of promise a couple of years ago, at least on the television front in phases 1 and 2, the digital set-top boxes were largely seeded. And even on the film side, one of the key drivers of film revenue has really been the rollout of digital projection across India's screens, and we achieved near saturation in the year gone by. So while it's fantastic for the industry as a whole, but going forward, the industry will have to be a little more innovative in terms of finding those numbers for double-digit growth.
Internet users continue to power ahead, 40% growth in 2013. We now have about 215 million users. 61% of these are on the mobile internet. Online video consumption, significant growth. And this has been, a growth driver for, several parts of virtually all content owners. Monetization, I think, people are still working out different kind of models in online and digital media. Advertising is still the mainstay. Subscription hasn't quite taken off in India. And especially for the music industry, digital revenue continued to really hold the industry above water. Overall, the industry did degrow music after several years. And this is, I think, quite a watershed moment for the music industry. Looking ahead, I think digital will power growth, but they will have to figure out various ways to monetize this content. In terms of advertisers looking at digital, digital is now a key part of almost any campaign. Earlier, it used to be an afterthought. We've seen that tone and behavior change across advertisers and media buying agencies. And you see that behavior going on through a lot of acquisitions that have taken place of little boutique digital agencies as the larger ones continue to bulk up on talent and clients in this space. So some of the valuations we've seen of digital agencies getting is been fairly surprising in terms of the upside. Television, again, probably the one segment of the media industry that saw a lot of action, both on a regulatory front, in terms of also the environment. The first half of the year was fairly decent. The second half was quite challenging. Set-top boxes, like I said earlier, have been seeded, but the MSOs still have to get their act around packaging and subscriber management systems, which will essentially then, only after all that is done, is really the promise of digitization will really come to fruition. The MSO LCO relationship and structure, which was in place for so many years, is undergoing a lot of flux. People are trying to figure out what their role in the value chain really is going to be as these structural changes take place. That is not entirely worked through. Is a good development in the sense that they're now able to monetize the inventory better going forward and have built a foundation of strong rates.
Nigeria makes more than 1,000 films a year?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Even,
Okay.
actually, we just finished doing some work in Nigeria for
Right.
the Nigerian film industry. And came as a surprise to me as well once we studied the market. Although I should say that most of those movies are fairly low budget, between $20,000 to $100,000 in budget. Most of them do not get a theatrical release and go straight to DVD. Nigeria is a very DVD-centric market, DVD and TV-centric market. However, like I said earlier, the multiplexing of Nigeria has only just begun over the last 5 years. So, which is why we believe that there is a lot of potential for, just as other companies from India have gone into Africa, whether you take a Bajaj or a TVS or Godrej, or we believe it's, it is appropriate for some Indian companies to start looking at at geographies beyond India, starting this.
Any other countries which are as close or nearly there? Did you compare it?
South Africa is also a very interesting market for Indian companies, early in its evolution stage, but and a voracious consumer of media and entertainment. So I think these two markets, and the Middle East also poses some significant challenges, but also opportunity, and we'll be covering that in quite a bit of detail in this year's report as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, one question here, Mr. Uday Shankar. This regarding this, Australia as a partner this year. Australia is already conducting this Melbourne Film Festival, over the Indian Film Festival in Melbourne, Australia. So how do you see this tie-up with the Australian government as such?
No, the tie-up with the Australian government is a very welcome move, and I think the idea is not about just a film festival. The idea is to work together between two governments to make sure that the media and entertainment industry of India is able to use Australia as a resource to grow and develop, and vice versa.
And being partner with FICCI Frames as such, how do you see the participation?
Leena can give you the details of it. There'll be a delegation from Australia.
Okay.
But on the details of the delegation, you can talk with FICCI Secretariat later.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, out of this 920 billion, are you going free to give out the split up between different industries now, or do we have to wait for the?
Yeah, we want you to come for frames
yeah,
also.
we'll definitely come, but at least the digital side, how big is it now, and compared to last year, is it?
Prefer to give it to you there.
Okay.
Just call it bigger.
That's why it's the stay tuned for further insights.
Mr. Uday, what are the issues to be addressed in respect to television? Will television content regulation be a part of that?
As far as FICCI is concerned, as far as television, I'm concerned personally, content regulation is always at the core of the debate in this country, unfortunately. one would have expected that in the world's biggest democracy, which has matured for 65 years or so, that debate would have been set at rest. But it continues to haunt us, and I think it is unlikely to go away this year. If anything, this year it's going to be an even more important point of debate because of the political environment in which in which frames is happening this year. Because new political dispensation is coming, all parties are going to the electorate, and from our point of view, we would like to pose this question clearly, that what is their commitment to freedom of expression, and if they do not, I mean, if they don't have a very clear, very sharp, and very unequivocal position on freedom of expression, it clearly means that there are issues about their commitment to a pluralistic democracy. Yeah, there are sessions. We can share the agenda with you, and there are sessions that are designed to take up some of these debates, and the participation will be from the ministry as well as from the regulator side.
Mr. Uday Shankar, though on a general level, FICCI always concentrates on film, television, radio, as well as animation, among others. Do you think this year the emphasis is being sidelined towards more of films because there is separate, we got mails also about film at FICCI. And what is the concentration of your decision? How much of percentage to films and how much to television? And also there is a feeling that it is more becoming star-centric with every year. More people thronging the hall when there is a film star at lighting the lamp or addressing the audience, and when good discussions take place, hardly you find any audience.
I think that's a slightly harsh view to take, sir. First and foremost, I think, personally I believe, and all my key colleagues at FICCI believe, that there is a huge untapped opportunity in the film industry, which is not being exploited thanks to inadequate policy support and policy spotlight. And that's why we think the more we discuss, the more helpful it would be. I mean, you just imagine, just some of the things that have been in the pipeline also have been in the pipeline for such a long time. If you see something like the Cinematography Act, that's been in the works for such a long time, and it is hurting everybody. So I think it's a bizarre situation or ironical situation where the Indian film industry as a brand is so big globally, not just among the Indians and Indian diaspora, but people who are completely unrelated to Indian community and culture, whether it is Southeast Asia, West Asia, Africa, parts of Europe and America. It is really big. And we have not been able to translate the power of that brand into size of business, primarily because we've not had the policy support. And what can be a better year to bring some of those issues in sharper spotlight than the year of elections, when all these issues are being, when the political class is far more responsive to the questions that are being asked. So that's the reason why, genuinely I believe that the film industry can be and should be much bigger. It would serve the, people of this country much better if it was bigger, both in terms of providing them with content and also being an economic resource in generating wealth and employment. And this year in particular. So that's one. The second thing is, we are in the business of content. We are in the business, and a part of that content is storytelling. The other part of that content is the faces who tell those stories. And hence, divorcing it from the stars and faces who stand up to give the identity to the industry would be in some ways counterproductive. So I think, if anything, my view is that there should be greater participation of the big stars of both TV, film, and other parts of media than it is today, not less. because I don't have to wait for the government to call it an industry before I start calling it industry. We are part of this industry. We have given our sweat and blood. It employs a lot of people, generates a lot of wealth, and it is exactly what I was talking about just a minute ago, that it is ironical that despite all this, the policy support is not coming, even in terms of recognizing and giving the status that is already due to it.
So in terms of specifics, what are the if you say, what are the requirements that you expect from?
Why do I get the feeling that you're not planning to turn up for frames? Because you want to ask all your questions here.
No, you mentioned that it's a new political dispensation that may come in at the center. My question is, obviously there's a particular risk with any change like that in terms of, for example, if it's a right-wing party, that there could be a slight tightening of, freedom of expression may be slightly tightened.
Look,
but the other side of it is, it also gives you a chance to kind of raise some of the issues and get some stuff sorted, which has been pending for a long time. Do you have a list of things that like that?
Look, FICCI is an industry body. It's a cooperative of all the participants in the sector. And the whole idea of having a 3-day frames kind of session, which gets, a couple of thousand people from the industry to participate, is that all kinds of expressions come together. One of the things that we intend to do is after frames, we wish to, carry forward this, the key ideas that emerge and consolidate them and take it to the, to various political parties and get them to take a position on some of the key demands and issues that we have.
Yeah, Udayji, Mr. Uday, one question to you and Ramesh ji. Like you were saying, you need like top stars to participate, more of the top stars to participate in FICCI frames as such. Like recently, Amir Khan also suggested being a star has got its advantages. You can use it the right way, like he is anchoring this show Satyamev Jayate. Now Karan Johar is there, Ramesh ji is there. They can bring top celebrities to FICCI frames and you can conduct some seminars or panel where an awareness program is created here.
But we do that, sir. We do master classes, we do panel discussions, and every year FICCI frames has been, fortunate in getting the support of a lot of top talent of the film industry and as well as, other sectors of media. And this year will be no exception. I'm sure, you will see that a lot of key talent. And when I say top stars, key talent, I don't mean just the actors and actresses. I think from all walks of life, because it's an industry gathering. While the actors and actresses are extremely important because they have the widest recognition, but also directors, producer, technical talents, writers, all of them are equally important. I think one of the reasons why Frames has become such a marquee platform is because it has become a gathering of the best-in-class talent from all walks of trade over these years. And we would like to build on that further. So do you want to add to that?
Yes, I think it's FICCI Frames is a wonderful platform, and it's now an annual event, 15th year this time. My personal view is that we always tend to look at the negative side of things, and although there is plenty of it, we always forget that there is the top side of things too. Whatever has happened to the business, there is a stalling in multiplexes, so there are lesser multiplexes multiplying this year. But that doesn't mean it will stop, it will continue. I'm very optimistic about these things. But even then, in a year like 2013, you saw on the one hand, a big star-cast film like Dhoom break all records before it, and not by a small margin of 10 or 20%, by almost 50% higher than the previous highest scorer. It just shows that the growth is definitely there. And at the same time, in the very same year, you have an Ashiki. You have an Ashiki, which is a small film, a small investment, and that also brings back 7 to 8 times, 10 times the return on its investment, which is entirely impossible in most businesses.
Therefore, the way to look at it is I have not seen either music or movies, which again, they're all part of our industry. I think more people are consuming both movies and music in a much bigger way all over the world. What's really got to be done, I think, over the next few years, and done very diligently, is to find out why we're not getting the full benefit of this growth. Footfalls, okay, maybe the prices have gone up of tickets also, but movies which people don't always see in theaters are being watched at home using the digital format. DVD is also dropping in sales, but downloading and VODs, and these are the kind of things that are going up. Yet, there is still not enough encouragement coming from the digital end of viewing, and the money that needs to actually come through this is not happening. It's very slow in happening. So I think, to me, on this front, on the front of digitized revenue, which is growing very fast, it needs to be monetized I'm using the wrong word. It needs to be monitored. There has to be a system of monitoring and understanding that when there is so much consumption, why are we not seeing the results in rupees and annas, rupees and dollars or whatever it is? Why is it that we do not see as much growth as there seems to be? So this illusionary thing called cinema is somehow finding itself sounding illusionary in our minds also, that why is it that we feel there's a lot of people watching and enjoying films and music, and yet we don't see the results on paper. The growth is there, as you can see. It's one of the most stable growths in the country. 12% is a low growth, but then compared to the country, it's 3 times, roughly. Which is damn good. And the potential is there because, in spite of whatever we are doing, we are way behind American films. Even now, the figures over there, if I'm not mistaken, are unbelievably much higher than our figures. There are several other reasons for that, but that doesn't mean we can't get there. We have to get there. So that's our goals. Our goals should be very much higher. And this is the platform. FICCI Frames will take us to that place where we can discuss this. Why is it not happening at a faster rate? One of the things, as Uday said very correctly, the government policies have not been supportive of our efforts. If they had been as supportive as they have been in other fields, I think you would have seen a much bigger growth. So we will keep imploring governments and fighting our battles with them. And I hope we'll be more successful every year. And as, again, Uday said, maybe we see a change in on the political scenario. We may see people with a different vision who may be able to help us along at a much faster rate. And more than that, I think the details we shall discuss during the coming session. Otherwise, this will become a mini FICCI Frames and there'll be no end to it. But I do feel that in every field, we have a lot of potential. There are problems, we will solve them, but that can all happen as we discuss it during the course of these 3 wonderful days. Do come, please help to build up all the participants and people's enthusiasm for this event. Help us do that, and let's make this a very successful year for FICCI Frames. Thank you so much.
And before we invite you all for lunch, I just have to say the most important thing. That is the theme of FICCI Frames this year. as you know, last year's theme, we've been trying to, convey a message, a consistent strategy and vision of the industry towards the theme of frames each year. Last year's theme was engaging with 1 billion consumers. And this year we have further sharpened that. And from engagement, we have taken it to transformation. And hence the theme that we have come up with is transforming lives. We believe that deep enough, meaningful enough, and consistent enough engagement with 1 billion people would mean transformation in the lives of a large number of people. And hence, the theme of FICCI Frames this year, friends, would be transforming lives. Thank you very much. Now, if, with Leena's permission, may I invite everybody for lunch? Thank you very much. Can you, would love you all to join us for lunch. And once again, as Ramesh ji said, I extend a very warm invitation to all of you for all 3 days of frames. You in particular.